If you've ever woken up in the morning and felt like your joints had aged 20 years overnight, you're not alone. Many people over 50 quietly battle the invisible weight of arthritis, that stiff and aching reminder that everyday tasks are no longer as simple as they once were. It robs us not just of comfort, but of freedom. The freedom to walk with ease, to reach for a hug without hesitation, to kneel in the garden or play with a grandchild on the floor. What if I told you that hidden inside your body and in the foods you eat every day, there are three overlooked minerals that can gently calm inflammation, ease pain, and give you back a sense of mobility and control? I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Wellness Blueprint Over 50. Stay with me because what I'm about to share may surprise you. I still remember one of my longtime patients, Margaret. She's 68, full of wit and warmth, but for years her knees and hips had held her hostage. She told me one afternoon, "Dr. Brian, I don't even bother sitting on the floor with my grandkids anymore because getting back up feels like a battle." Her words stuck with me. You see, arthritis pain doesn't just live in the joints. It seeps into the spirit, stealing little joys. But Margaret's story took a turn when we uncovered a quiet, often overlooked deficiency: magnesium. Magnesium isn't a flashy nutrient. It doesn't get the spotlight like calcium or vitamin D. But in truth, it's the calm conductor of countless processes in the body. Imagine a symphony. Every instrument needs to be in tune to play harmoniously. And if just one section is off key, the whole performance falters. Magnesium is that steady hand guiding the orchestra, calming the strings, steadying the drums, making sure the entire system moves in rhythm. When it's missing, chaos builds silently. In the case of arthritis, chaos shows up as inflammation, the immune system's alarm bells ringing too loud for too long. This constant alarm doesn't just cause swelling, it breaks down cartilage, stiffens joints, and amplifies pain. Magnesium steps in like a wise peacemaker, quieting the alarm, gently lowering the body's inflammatory response. Studies confirm this. A paper published in the journal Magnesium Research found that individuals with higher magnesium intake had significantly lower markers of inflammation, particularly C-reactive protein, which is often elevated in arthritis sufferers. Now let's get practical. Most people over 40 are magnesium deficient without even realizing it. Stress, processed foods, certain medications, all quietly drain magnesium reserves. And when those levels dip, muscles tighten, nerves misfire, and inflammation climbs higher. Think of a rubber band that's pulled too tight and never allowed to relax. That's what magnesium deficiency feels like inside the body. Restoring it lets that band loosen, giving joints the breathing room they desperately crave. Margaret was skeptical at first when I suggested she focus on magnesium. "Another pill?" she sighed. But magnesium isn't just about supplements. It's woven into foods many of us enjoy. Leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard, creamy avocados, crunchy almonds and pumpkin seeds, even a square of dark chocolate, all are natural magnesium treasures. By incorporating these, she was nourishing her joints from the inside out. Still, diet alone wasn't enough. For deeper arthritis pain relief, she needed consistent supplementation. We chose magnesium glycinate, a form that's gentle on the stomach and highly absorbable. Within just weeks, Margaret noticed her sleep improving. She told me, "I don't toss and turn the same way, and my morning stiffness doesn't feel like quicksand anymore." That's the ripple effect of magnesium. Better rest leads to better healing. Less stress means less inflammation, and the cycle of pain finally begins to break. Here's something else important. Hydration is magnesium's partner. Without enough plain, clean water, magnesium can't travel to the tissues where it's needed most. I often tell my patients, think of water as the river that carries magnesium to your aching joints. Without the river flowing, the cargo never arrives. And too often I find older adults sipping coffee, tea, or soda all day, but rarely pure water. It's a small change with powerful results. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Magnesium isn't a miracle cure. It won't make arthritis vanish overnight, but healing rarely comes from miracles. It comes from steady, consistent care, from giving the body the tools it's been quietly asking for. With magnesium, the benefits build like bricks in a wall. Each night of better sleep, each day of calmer muscles, Each week of lower inflammation creates a sturdier foundation for your health. Margaret still has arthritis, but she no longer sees herself as trapped by it. She gardens again, kneels on the ground with a pad, and, this is my favorite part, she gets down on the floor to play with her grandchildren and rises back up with a laugh, not a grimace. That to me is the quiet heroism of magnesium. It doesn't just soothe joints, it gives back moments of life, and that's what this journey is truly about. Not long ago, I sat across from a gentleman named Harold. At 72, Harold had the kind of handshake that once felt like iron, but arthritis had softened his grip. He told me with frustration, "I can't even open a jar of pickles anymore, Doc. I feel useless." His eyes betrayed the deeper truth. It wasn't about the jar. It was about dignity, independence, the quiet worry of losing the strength that once defined him. What Harold didn't know at the time was that part of his struggle had to do with another underappreciated mineral: zinc. Zinc may not sound glamorous, but it's like the handyman of the body, repairing, reinforcing, and protecting at every turn. If magnesium is the calm conductor of the orchestra, zinc is the carpenter who keeps the stage sturdy. It's a builder, working behind the scenes to maintain cartilage, reinforce bone, and keep the immune system from mistaking your joints for the enemy. That's no small task. Here's why this matters for arthritis. In conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, the immune system becomes confused. Instead of protecting, it starts attacking the joints, wearing down cartilage, fueling inflammation, and causing relentless pain. Zinc steps in like a wise negotiator, reminding the immune system what is friend and what is foe. Scientific evidence supports this. Research in biological trace element. Research shows that people with rheumatoid arthritis often have significantly lower zinc levels, and those deficiencies correlate with more severe symptoms. In plain terms, the less zinc, the worse the pain and damage. But zinc isn't only an immune regulator. It's also critical for collagen production. Imagine collagen as the cushion inside your joints, the padding that allows bones to glide without grinding. When zinc is in short supply, the body struggles to rebuild that cushion. It's like trying to repair a worn-out sofa without enough fabric. The structure weakens, and every sit, every step, every movement becomes more uncomfortable. Harold's diet, like many older adults, was lacking zinc. He ate plenty of toast, pasta, and coffee, but not much in the way of zinc-rich foods. This is common because zinc is often found in foods that people over 50 may eat less of. Pumpkin seeds, chickpeas, cashews, lentils, beef, turkey, eggs, and oysters, the richest source of them all. I asked him to make small, realistic changes. Add a handful of pumpkin seeds as a snack. Swap in some chickpeas to his salads. Choose lean turkey or beef once or twice a week. Food is always the best starting point, but like magnesium, sometimes diet alone can't fill the gap. So we added a zinc supplement, zinc picolinate in his case, because it absorbs well and doesn't sit heavy on the stomach. I warned him not to take it on an empty stomach because zinc can stir up nausea, and I reminded him not to take it at the same time as calcium, since they compete for absorption. Small details, but they matter. The change wasn't instant, but within weeks Harold noticed subtle shifts. The morning stiffness that made his first steps painful seemed to ease more quickly. After 2 months, he told me he felt stronger, steadier, more himself. And here's what really made him smile. He opened that jar of pickles again, unassisted, and laughed like a boy, proving his strength. It wasn't the jar that mattered. It was the dignity it symbolized. Zinc also plays another role many people overlook. It supports gut health. Why does that matter? Because the gut is often the command center of inflammation. A healthier gut can mean less systemic inflammation, and when inflammation drops, joints rejoice. It's all connected, like gears in a watch. When one turns smoothly, the whole system keeps better time. I often tell patients that zinc isn't a cure, but it is a protector. Think of it as the shield your joints have been waiting for. By calming the immune system, rebuilding cartilage, and supporting healing, it helps slow the breakdown and even strengthens the repair. It gives you more control over how arthritis unfolds in your life. Harold may still move more slowly than he once did, but now he gardens again, gripping his trowel with confidence. He shakes hands with a firm grip that feels like him again. And when he told me, "Doc, I feel like I got a piece of myself back," I knew that zinc had done more than protect his joints. It had restored a measure of hope. And that hope, combined with steady daily choices, is one of the greatest medicines of all. There's a quiet mineral most people have never even heard of, yet it holds surprising power for aching joints. I think of Ellen when I speak about it. Ellen is 65, a retired teacher who loved tending her rose garden. But arthritis had left her hands so stiff that pruning shears felt like torture devices. She once told me, "I go outside, look at the roses, and I cry because I can't care for them the way I used to." When we discovered that boron, a mineral hidden in humble fruits and nuts, might help, she was skeptical. "Boron? Isn't that something from a chemistry lab?" She chuckled, but within months her laughter carried a new lightness. Boron is not flashy. It doesn't headline multivitamin bottles and most doctors never mention it. But here's the truth. Boron acts like a quiet helper, supporting the stars of the show: calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D. Without boron, these nutrients don't work as effectively. Think of it like a stage crew during a play. The actors may get the spotlight, but without the crew adjusting lights, moving scenery, and keeping everything in sync, the play falters. Boron is that unseen stagehand, making sure the performance of bone and joint health stays strong. Science backs this up. Research published in Environmental Health Perspectives highlighted populations living in areas with naturally higher boron in the soil. Strikingly, these groups had much lower rates of arthritis. That's not coincidence. It's chemistry at work. Boron helps the body retain magnesium and calcium, guiding them into the bones where they belong, rather than letting them drift into soft tissues where they can cause harm. For someone with arthritis, that means stronger bones, more flexible joints, and less grinding pain. But boron does more than play traffic cop for minerals. It also influences hormones, particularly estrogen and testosterone. These hormones aren't just about reproduction. They are vital players in bone and joint health. As estrogen levels drop after menopause, women often experience a surge in arthritis symptoms and bone loss. Boron helps smooth that hormonal transition, supporting balance and offering extra protection when the body needs it most. For men, it helps maintain healthy testosterone, another key to preserving bone strength over time. When Ellen began incorporating boron-rich foods, the changes were subtle at first. She added prunes to her morning oatmeal, a handful of almonds as an afternoon snack, and slices of apple after dinner. These small steps added up, feeding her body in a way that medicine alone couldn't. For many people, these foods are already enjoyable. Raisins, pears, dates, dried apricots, simple, sweet, and nourishing. But when targeted with intention, they become part of a healing plan. Still, diet alone doesn't always provide enough boron. That's where low-dose supplements come in, usually just 3 to 6 milligrams a day. Such a small amount, yet it can make a big difference. I sometimes call it the quiet multiplier, because when you combine boron with magnesium and vitamin D, the benefits amplify. It's not about piling on more pills. It's about synergy, letting the body use what it already has more efficiently. Ellen decided to try a supplement alongside her dietary changes. A few months later, she showed me her hands with a smile. "I trimmed 3 rose bushes yesterday," she said proudly, "and I didn't pay for it with 3 days of pain." That's the difference boron can make. Not a miracle, but a reclaiming of small, meaningful freedoms. There's another piece to the puzzle: oxidative stress. That's a fancy term for the cellular wear and tear that accumulates like rust over the years, fueling inflammation. Boron helps reduce this rusting effect, calming the body on a deeper level. Less oxidative stress means calmer joints, less swelling, and more resilience to keep moving. Of course, boron is not a cure-all. No single nutrient can erase arthritis. But it's often the overlooked pieces, the quiet allies that tip the balance. For Ellen, boron didn't restore the hands of a 20-year-old, but it gave her enough relief to return to the garden she loved, pruning roses with tenderness instead of tears. She found not just pain relief, but joy, and emotional healing as important as the physical. When I think of boron, I think of how easily we dismiss the small things. Yet small changes, adding fruit to breakfast, a handful of nuts, a tiny supplement, can ripple outward, restoring freedom, dignity, and hope. Sometimes the greatest relief doesn't come from bold, dramatic interventions, but from the quiet helpers working faithfully in the background. Boron is one of those helpers, and for many with arthritis, it may be the missing piece they've been searching for. So now you know the quiet power of magnesium, zinc, and boron. They won't erase arthritis overnight, but together they can soften the edges of pain, calm inflammation, and help you reclaim pieces of your life that arthritis has stolen. Whether it's playing on the floor with grandkids, gardening without dread, or simply waking up with less stiffness, these minerals are gentle allies walking beside you. I'm Dr. Brian, and I want you to remember, you are not defined by arthritis. You have choices, you have hope, and you have a path forward. Let's keep walking it together.